Hey there, my name is Christina, and I am going to do some videos to chronicle my journey through pain rehabilitation. I have struggled with chronic migraines and tension headaches for many years, and I know this is something a lot of people deal with. Every time I've talked to anyone or people who know me, it's everybody knows someone or themselves struggle with migraines, and it sucks. There's not really a cure for migraines. There's so many different triggers. There's lots of different medications, and I went through the gambit of kind of trying everything. I started getting them in my 20s. They got a lot worse as time went on, so I would get them more frequently, and it was, it started impacting my life. I had more sick days at work than most other people, even though my performance was always fine. I always met my deadlines, but it still, perception-wise, is not a good thing. And I finally got to a point where I got on the right medication that I really was doing great. And I was very active. I've always been very active with theater, which is my hobby, and that takes a lot of time for anyone who knows about theater. Rehearsals 4 or 5 days a week. I did go to the gym quite often. I liked kickboxing. I liked taking dance classes. And so I started doing really well. And then I got pregnant, and I was 34, 35. Must have been 35, yeah. No. 34 or 35 when I got pregnant with my first. And I was doing okay until I hit my second trimester. And my migraines came back with a vengeance. It was almost every day. So I was able to take Fioricet, which is, I don't know exactly everything that's in it. I know there's caffeine, and it worked as a pain relief is what it does. And I started taking that, and it helps numb the pain. And it did back then when I started taking it during my pregnancies. But by the end of my pregnancy, I was in agony. I wasn't able to take any of the other medications that had worked to keep my migraines away or to treat my migraines. So I remember I had a horrible labor and delivery. It was bad. By the end of it all, I was trying to breastfeed, and I couldn't take my medication still if I was breastfeeding. So at one point, I think that my daughter was about 2 days old, and I was struggling with breastfeeding quite a bit. It's not easy thing to do. And the pediatrician came in and said, of course, breastfeeding is something we love for women to do if they can or want to, but formula is totally fine, and you need to take your medication. You have to be healthy first. So I made a decision to stop trying to breastfeed, went to formula, and got back on my medication for my migraines. It didn't work. It didn't work anymore. Nothing that had worked before was working. So I tried new therapies came out. I tried Botox, and I got pregnant again. So kind of the same story. It was actually not too bad during the first trimester. So I thought something's going on with my hormones that I never had a problem with before with my migraines. Were never hormone related until pregnancy. But anyway, the same thing happened. And so basically from my first pregnancy of my first child, I've struggled with everyday headaches. And so it's been, she's 11 and a half now. So it's been about 12 years to 12, almost 12 and a half years. So I've tried everything, and I'm at the point now where I've gotten the migraines to maybe a couple times a week instead of 5 times a week. But the tension headaches, I can't get rid of. Like the migraines, I can actually treat a lot easier now than I can the tension headaches. And all of it kind of combined led me to lots of medications that I take. They give me what, now I have a term for it, I didn't before, but brain fog. So I just can't concentrate. I can't find words. I can't remember anything. People have to repeat things to me. I have to, my husband who speaks really quickly, I have to constantly tell him, you gotta slow down. I can't keep up with what you're saying. So, and then depression sets in. It's part of it, and it's a huge part of it for me now, is that I stopped being able to do anything. Exercising, theater was a big thing. We stopped theater naturally just when we had Evie because we had a baby, and so we didn't do theater for quite a while. And I think I realized at one point that I lost my creative outlet. I lost my hobby, my passion. So I needed to do theater again. It was going to be therapeutic for me. But also I loved my job though. My passion was not just theater. I mean, I worked as a biomedical engineer for many years in the medical device industry, and I loved it. I love making medical devices and pharmaceuticals. It is something that I'm very passionate about, and I was very successful at it. But when you get to a point where your pain is so bad and you're taking the medications and your concentration's gone, even though I still was doing a good job, I was not even close to like 30% of my capabilities from what I knew I could do. So it was really, really hard. It was really hard for me. And then I went through a series of some really crappy bosses and just bad work environment. So I kind of hit a point where my depression was had overtaken my life. And it just to where it's hard to get out of bed. Suicidal thoughts creep in. And fortunately, my husband and I worked it out to where I could quit my job. So I quit my job a little over 2 years ago. And I started doing theater, and that seemed to really help a lot. And because I'm an extroverted person, and I had really lost a lot of close friendships because I just could never do anything. Theater is one of those things where there's a lot of obligation, so it kind of forces you into not canceling plans. And so that was really good. And then COVID came around and ruined everything. So I spiraled pretty hard. And I started therapy. I had done therapy, but I started therapy again. And really what came out of it was my pain and my depression are so intertwined that treating my depression is not going to be something I can really do without treating my pain. Because it's everyday pain, and I have a lot of fear associated with it because now I try things, and then I know if I do something big, like we go to an amusement park or whatever it may be, something with the kids, if I have a big day out, I know I'm going to need at least 1, maybe 2 days of just in my bed to recover. and I'm spending more and more of my time in my bed because I'm just in pain. Even just doing laundry, stuff around the house, like the pain is there and it'll get worse. And so it makes me fearful to do anything because I don't want to have the pain, because I don't want to not be able to do anything with my family. I never wanted my kids to know I had pain, but at this point, they know I have pain. They know I have depression, and some days it's the pain that keeps me in bed, and some days it's the depression that keeps me in bed, but it's a lot of days in my bed, and that's no way to live. So I didn't know where to turn. I talked to my doctor about it, and she's been my doctor for 20 years, so she knows my whole saga. And I was at the point where I need something, and I don't want to go to pain management where I just start getting on highly addictive pain medication. I don't want that. I take Fioricet, and that's got acetaminophen and caffeine, and I think it's like a mild barbiturate, but it's something that deadens the pain, but it's not it's not an opioid. It's not, I don't want to go to that. And so I need something that I can do to get rid of. I know I can't get rid of the pain, but I got to figure out a way to live with the pain, is where I kind of focused. And I don't want to do that with medication. I want to get rid of the medications as much as possible because of the brain fog. But I also, the depression is so heavy with me that when you're in really, really deep depression, you lose all motivation to do anything. So even things I know, like I should do this, it would help me. Well, my therapist would say I should myself. So, and I should myself all the time. And logically I know, yeah, this is going to help me. If I do yoga, this will help me. But go meditate, this will help me. But the depression just chains you down. It literally stops you from doing the things that you know will help. And I was talking with my good friend. She started a podcast to discuss mental health issues, and because it needs to be normalized, people need to know it exists, because everybody has gone through some form of it or knows somebody that has. So she interviewed me for her podcast, which is called Thanks for Sharing. And one of the things we talked about with regards to motivation and just not being able to do what you need to do is, she shared with me one of her problems with regards to her eating disorder was she knew she needed to eat. She had food, but she had missed her normal lunchtime, and she was there with her nutritionist at her treatment, and she panicked. She got into a really anxiety attack, because she knew she needed to eat and she didn't know what to eat. And she had a cheese stick, and she had a fruit cup, and she had a granola bar, whatever. She had items to eat, but she literally was crippled with the anxiety on what do I eat? I don't know what to do. And her nutritionist, said, look, how about we start here, and opened the fruit cup and handed it to her. And to me, that's such an amazing analogy with depression and motivation. Is I know all these things that will be great for me. I need somebody to make me do them. I need somebody to be the one that says, here, start with this fruit cup. Like, this is what I need. So when I talked about that with my doctor, like, this is where I'm at, she had recommended this pain rehabilitation center through the Mayo Clinic, and one of her other patients had done this. So I looked into it, and Mayo Clinic, it seemed perfect. It seemed like exactly what I needed, because I was ready. Like, I'm like, I need to go to an in-treatment facility somewhere that treats depression. But I don't need to just treat depression. I need to treat my pain as well. So going somewhere that was more specialized to specifically pain was a much better option. So I'm here. There's only three or four places. There's a location in Jacksonville, Florida, which I looked into first because that's within driving distance of where I live in the Atlanta area. And because of COVID, and they have reduced numbers of people that they're allowing in the program, they're like, it's not going to happen until next year. And I'm like, I need this now. So they sent me over to the Rochester, Minnesota location. So I was able to get in. It took a couple months to get all of it figured out, and I got it all planned and set and ready to go. The day before I was supposed to fly out, my daughter got COVID at school because, Georgia decided they didn't need to wear masks during a pandemic. And although she wears a mask every day, she's one of maybe 5% of the student population and the teachers. So she got COVID. So I was like, I'm gonna have to cancel my trip. Fortunately, they were able to get me in 2 weeks later. So I only had to wait that 2-week quarantine period. My daughter's fine. Her biggest symptom with COVID, migraines. She had 4 or 5 days of really bad migraines, and I felt horrible. I don't want my kids to have to suffer through migraines the way I have, and I know it's hereditary. My mom had migraines, but has migraines still. But I'm here. I'm in Minnesota. I got here yesterday. Today I've settled in. It's a 17-day program, but it's weekdays, so I have my nights and my weekends off. So I'm going to be here for almost a month when you have all the weekends added in, and there's a Labor Day holiday that I won't be in session. So, but the program it's a comprehensive program, and it basically uses cognitive behavioral therapy, which my friend who has the podcast on mental health, she says it's worked wonders for her, and I'm really hoping that it works wonderful for me as well. So I'll be in class sessions where we talk about cognitive behavioral therapy and the steps that we need to take. I don't know everything yet on what it's going to entail, but there's also physical therapy and occupational therapy. And it's basically helping you to live with pain and without medication. Also, that's a big part of it. And I know there's a big premise around distracting yourself from pain, and it's kind of ironic, or just cool, I guess. My kids did a science fair project last year. They were in 3rd and 5th grade, so they were able to do it together. And they got first place in their category for the state. And their science fair project was feeling pain. No. Oh God, see, this is brain fog. I can't remember what they called it. The premise, though, that they were looking at is, can you distract yourself from pain? Can you do things and dull your pain? So their test subjects, we had to put our feet in ice water and then do different activities and see how long we could last with each activity. And the hypothesis was, if you're doing something that you enjoy, you won't feel the pain as much. If you're doing something stressful, then you'll feel the pain. And they proved it. Watching funny dog videos, I was able to get my foot in that ice water and be totally fine, and watch for the time period until they had to stop it, because then, you might do damage to your feet. But doing quick math which I'm an engineer and I love math, but I don't like to do arithmetic and I don't like to do it quickly. Anything timed freaks me out. High stress. I did not last in that ice water. So that is kind of the premise of what this program is going to do for me. Is it's going to put me in ways that will kind of reset how my brain is working, and hopefully find ways to distract myself from my pain. And then the occupational therapy will help me to be able to do daily activities in ways that will limit the pain. And then physical therapy, I've done multiple times for my migraines, and I know that'll help. So, but I wanted to journal it. I know this is kind of a longer video, but I needed to introduce everything and kind of my backstory a little bit. But I start tomorrow. Tomorrow will be they'll get to know me. They'll get to know my history, all my medications, and figure out the best plan for me so that they do the plan per person. So not everybody's going to have everything, cookie cutter. And then I'll start on the day after that, Thursday, delving into it. So my hope is while I'm here in Minnesota, I can really work. It's going to take a lot of work, but I need to do the work with the people that know how to do it, the experts, and regain my life so that I can not live in my bed, which unfortunately is how it's been. So I got a lot of people rooting for me, my kids for sure. I'm gonna miss them so much, and I don't want to come back and not be somewhat better. I've told my son it's not necessarily the miracle cure. It's not going to magically take all the pain away, but hopefully it will help a lot. So I am not a journaler. I don't like to write personally, so I figured I would do video journals. If this is something that works and is really successful for me, sharing it with people that may help them as well. Fortunately, this was covered by my insurance. I only have to do co-pays, but I do have to pay for my lodging here because I'm out of state. But if this is something that could work for somebody else and they could financially afford it, I'm sure there's also financial options available if people, if this would be something somebody needed. But my hope is I can chronicle it here and hopefully see some improvement. So I'll check back in after I get things started. We'll see how it goes. Bye.